What's up everyone, back for another vlog, and in today's vlog I will be showing you the beers that I'll be reviewing for the 6th annual 10 Days of Pumpkin here on the channel. So I said this last year, but I'll reiterate this year. I cannot believe this is still a thing for me. I started this back in 2018, and it was supposed to be a one-off where I was like, let's do something special for pumpkin beers in October. And I was like, let's do 10 straight days of pumpkin beers. Here we are 6 years later and still doing it. I really enjoy it, and I know a lot of you out there do as well. However, it's getting a little bit more difficult to find beers within the style that I've never had before or never reviewed before. So to procure 10 different beers every single year, very difficult when you've reviewed over 60 on the channel. And after this year, it's going to be 70 plus. However, it's possible this year, probably be possible next year. And if I have to start going outside of the state at some point, or making beer trades to make it happen, we're going to continue it. So anyway, what is the 10 Days of Pumpkin? Well, if you're a relatively new viewer of the channel, you might not know what it is. It's very simple. Every single October for the final 10 days, I review a pumpkin beer every single day, culminating on Halloween. It's, again, something that has been running now for 6 years, and I just enjoy it. Now, that doesn't mean I won't review pumpkin beers any other time during the fall, but this is where I like to review the vast majority of them, and have fun with it. So yeah, anyway, these 10 beers, actually 11, we'll talk about it in a second, but these 10 beers are in order from your left to right on how I'm going to review them over the course of the 10 days. This will be day 1, and this will be a day 10. So let's go over them real quick. I also want to mention that I made a quick trip down to Erie, Pennsylvania. It's about an hour, 45 minutes from Buffalo, and picked up a couple pumpkin beers because I know they get distro of different stuff than we do in PA, certainly Erie. So a couple of these are from Erie, which I will let you know which ones in day 1. From Erie. So this is from Creek Brewing Company, and this is their Young Pumpkinstein, which is fantastic, to play on Young Frankenstein. And this is cool. This is a Meriton style lager with allspice, candied ginger, cinnamon, and nutmeg, 5.2% alcohol by volume. And last year I reviewed a pumpkin beer from them that was one of my favorite pumpkin beers of last year, and I actually reviewed it after the 10 Days of Pumpkin. It was in November, and it was their Punkless Dunkel, which was an Imperial Pumpkin Dunkelweizen, and it was just fantastic. It was like, I don't know, pumpkin banana bread, I guess is the easiest way to describe it. It was awesome. So they're taking a Meriton-style Oktoberfest and marrying it with some pumpkin spice, and we'll see how it is. Now, they are not using a real pumpkin in this one, but I've always said that if you're going to use pumpkin spice, you have to have a substantial base beer. And a Meriton-style Oktoberfest being a lager, I think it's a substantial base beer. If the base beer is good, those spices should pair well with this beer. Spices, beer, should be great. Hopefully, we'll see. Really excited about this one. Like I said, I picked it up in Erie, PA at a Wegmans grocery store in their mix of 6 section. It was a mixed 4-pack section, actually. They had a mixed 4-pack section and a mixed 6-pack, and I picked it up in a mixed 4-pack. So really excited about that one. Next, we have from Energy City Brewing, we have their Bistro Pumpkin Cobbler. So they're calling this one a, where is it? Berliner style Weiss beer with pumpkin, spice, and natural flavors. So this is essentially a smoothie / slushy style pumpkin beer, sour ale, whatever you want to call it. And I want to give a quick thanks and shout out to a couple of viewers of the channel who made this happen. Number one was Chris Sheldon. He mentioned this one to me last year, and he was going to send it to me if he could find another can of it, and he couldn't because it was a little bit past, I think it was, he said in like November or December. So that was kind of a bummer. However, another viewer of the channel, SB, a little less than 2 weeks ago, mentioned this one again. I was like, oh yeah, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, Chris mentioned that. We get some Energy City. I'll see if they have it, locally. Sure enough, walked into my local bottle shop and they had a couple 4-packs, so I picked up a can. So last year was the first time I had like a smoothie style pumpkin beer, and it was from Imprint. It was their Schmoogie. I think it was like pumpkin pie cheesecake. It was really sweet. It was good, but it was just too sweet. I only wanted 8 ounces of it, really. This, though, I really like Energy City stuff. The stuff I've reviewed from them in the past year and a half, been really enjoyable, especially in the Bistro series. So I think I'm going to enjoy that one. We'll see. I think it fits the bill, though, for a pumpkin beer. Next, we have from Prison City out of Auburn, New York, we have their Pumpkin Escobar. And I really like the label on this one. it's a pretty fantastic label, to be honest with you. So this one, now let's see if they have it. Yeah, so it's a porter with roasted pumpkin, Colombian coffee, and spices. So they're actually using a mocha, what do they call it? Mocha Java coffee beans from a local roaster. I think they're called Simple Roast Coffee Roasters in Auburn. And then in addition to that, they have roasted pumpkin and spices, which I will try to figure out which ones they use in here. 7%. It's been a while since I reviewed anything from Prison City, but I thought essentially a coffee pumpkin porter would fit the bill, and I'm looking forward to that one, really, because I like Prison City stuff, but I don't get a lot of their darker beers. Next, so it's a day 1, day 2, day 3. For day 4, this is the only Western New York Wednesday of the 10 Days of Pumpkin, and it comes from the Brickyard Brewing Company out of Lewiston, New York, and this is their Grumpkins and Snarks. So they are calling this one a pumpkin dark lager, 5% alcohol by volume. On the side here, it says that this is aged on pumpkin spice and pumpkin puree, and I really wanted to try this one out. There weren't a lot of local pumpkin, it's just here in Buffalo, a lot of pumpkin beers that I was like, really excited to try. I saw them release this, I was like, a pumpkin dark lager? Yeah, sign me up. So I was able to grab a couple cans. I think I might send the other one out to a friend of mine and fellow beer tuber Ryan over at Ryan's Beer Reviews, who sent me this beer, which we'll talk about at the end. But yeah, that should be fun. Again, we have 2 lagers, a pumpkin coffee porter, and basically a smoothie pumpkin sour ale. Like, kind of interesting, right? Next, we have one that I've been eyeing for a couple years, never pulled the trigger on it until today. So it's from the Lexington Brewing and Distillery Company out of Lexington, Kentucky. This is their Kentucky Pumpkin Barrel Ale. What did I just reading comprehension? Yes, Kentucky Pumpkin Barrel Ale. 10% alcohol by volume, aged in bourbon barrels. On the website, there wasn't a lot of information on this, but on Untappd, they mentioned like they're brewing this one with, what is it, brown sugar, Kentucky pumpkin butter, pecans, and then I think 3 or 4 different spices. Didn't say it on their website, but I mean, they had like the entire ingredients list on Untappd, so I would believe that. Also, I've never reviewed anything from Lexington, but I've had their flagship beer, which is just their bourbon barrel aged ale. I've had the vanilla cream variant. I've had the coffee variant. I've had the blackberry, I think it was porter. So I've had beers from them. I enjoy them, especially for like a cheaper. This is like a value barrel aged beer. I think this cost me like $3.75, $3.99, something like that for a 10% thing, barrel aged beer, pumpkin spices, this and that. I think that's a pretty good value. So we'll see what this one is all about. But I had to grab it this year because it's like, I've been passing on it the last couple of years. We'll give it a go. So that's day 5. Day 6, we have from Evil Genius, and this is their Trick or Treat. So they are calling this one a chocolate pumpkin porter. Of course, it says ale with natural flavors added. What is the ABV on this? 7.8% alcohol by volume. They're out of Pittston, Pennsylvania, and this is a beer that I've wanted to try, not this specifically, but Evil Genius in general. Their Purple Monkey Dishwasher is one of the first ever like chocolate peanut butter, I think porters or stout. I can't remember if it's porter or stout. That kind of got pub after Sweet Baby Jesus from Dewclaw back in the day. So I picked up a can of that and this when I was in Erie. I thought I would give this a go. I will be reviewing the Purple Monkey Dishwasher at some point, but this sounds pretty good. Basically a chocolate pumpkin porter. Similar to this, but instead of coffee, you get chocolate, and it's a little bit higher in ABV. And it's from Evil Genius, which I've never reviewed anything from them on the channel. I've had a couple of their beers, just never had the Purple Monkey Dishwasher or this. So day 7, we have from Jack's Abbey Craft Lagers, their pumpkin crop. So they're calling this one a pumpkin spice lager. So they have, I love that they have the ingredients on the side, American 2-row barley, and then says pumpkin, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and vanilla. Comes in at 4.5% alcohol by volume. They use a step infusion mash. They are using pumpkins from a local farm in Massachusetts. We'll talk about more in the review, but full disclosure, I've had this one before. I had this one back in 2015 or 16, either or, and I really enjoyed it. Back then, there weren't really any pumpkin lagers outside of that I can recall. So now you have this, so we have 3 just this year alone. I really like the different pumpkin beers that have popped up over the past 5-6 years. It's been really cool to see, and Jack's Abbey makes some great lagers, so I'm excited to revisit that one. Next, we have a beer in which I think a lot of you have already had this year, probably back in July when they release it, or August, September. But it's a beer that I had for the first time last year, and that's because Southern Tier did a special, they did a special, what am I looking at saying here? They did a special release. They brewed 3 different variants of pumpkin, And they put them on tap at all of their brew pub locations and their brewery, and they had the customers vote on which one was their favorite. They had this, which is their caramel pumpkin. They had their fire pumpkin, which was a pumpkin with basically cinnamon infused, and then they had a habanero pumpkin that was brewed with habaneros. And I did a video, and if I remember how to do this, because I tried to do it in the other vlog that I did, it didn't work because it was a live. There's a bug where if you try to do it with a live video, it doesn't work. But up here in the corner, I'm going to try to post a link to the on-location video I did from the Buffalo location, Southern Tier, where I reviewed all three of them plus pumpkin, and this was my winner. I picked, I voted for this because I thought it was by far the best of the bunch. So this is caramel pumpkin. It is, they call it, I'm sure it's going to be an ale with natural flavors, right? Ale brewed with pumpkin and natural flavor added. It's basically base pumpkin, and they say with like a kick of caramel. When I had it on tap, it wasn't like huge. It wasn't like overbearing. It was almost like you drizzled some caramel on a piece of pumpkin pie. Unfortunately, I'm hearing a lot of folks via reviews on YouTube and Untappd check-ins that the caramel's a little bit too intense, a little bit too sweet. I'm curious to see if this is how I remember it being last year. But again, they did a relatively small batch for Southern Tier. They've upscaled it this year. Maybe it's not the same. You know what I mean? So that's why we're going to review it. And of course, you got to compare it to the OG regular pumpkin, which we will do in the video because you got to know the base, where it's coming from. And so we'll do the base one along with the caramel one. We're not going to do like a true comparison. I'm just going to drink this one a little bit with the caramel just to see what the differences are. Day 9. We have from Imprint. So earlier I mentioned I did an Imprint Schmoogie, their pumpkin pie cheesecake, or did I? I don't know if I mentioned that, but I did. It's the only other like smoothie, slushy, a sour ale with pumpkin I've ever reviewed. So they released a couple more this year. They did a s'mores one, and they did like it was a pumpkin something else that it was different, but I didn't want to pick that up because I wanted to pick this up. So this is their Origins, their pumpkin spice latte. So this is a cold brew coffee stout. It's basically a cold brew imperial coffee stout. They're using Yurga Chef, a single origin Ethiopian coffee, and they are just adding pumpkin spice to it. And it's 10.5%. It's a very simplistic label, and it's 10.5%. It's the biggest beer I have of all of these here, and really looking forward to that one. So we got a couple different coffee pumpkin beers, which pumpkin and coffee mix beautifully in beers, only when everything is cohesive and the mixture and it blends well. Sometimes it's a little overpowering one flavor or another, but the ones I've had that really work, they really, really work. So the 10th and final day, like I said, this beer will be reviewed with Ryan over at Ryan's Beer Reviews. We're doing a duo review. I will be posting this on Halloween, but since he sent me this one, I thought it'd be fun to review it with him because he himself loves pumpkin beers. This is from Heavy Seas Beer out of Baltimore, Maryland, and this is the Greater Pumpkin. So this is a pumpkin ale brewed with pumpkin and spices Asian burn barrels, 10% alcohol by volume. They have a little bit more of a spiel on the back. Quick story on this one. This was like one of the first pumpkin beers I had back in 2012, 2013 range. And we got Heavy Seas beers for quite a while here in the Western New York area, more specifically Buffalo. One of my favorite hop forward beers back then, and one of the first hop forward beers I actually enjoyed was their Loose Cannon Hop 3. Unfortunately, we don't get distro of Heavy Seas anymore here in Buffalo. It's been like that for a good 4 or 5 years. So that's why I enlisted the help of Ryan to grab me a bottle of this. I wanted to review it, and he's like, oh yeah, I can easily grab that. So really cool of him to be able to send that one my way. Awesome to be able to try it. I haven't had it since like 2015 or 16, so I can't wait to revisit it. I'm hoping it's as delicious as I remember. It wasn't like amazing. Probably give it like a 4.1, 4.2, something like that, but it was still really good. It's one of the first, maybe the first barrel-aged pumpkin beer I've ever had. Or was it the base? I had the base first, then I had this. So this might have been a little bit later, but regardless, it's been like 7 or 8 years since I had this one. So yeah, that does it for the beers for the 10 days of pumpkin. Like always, these vlogs are a little bit longer. It is what it is. I'm sure a lot of you have clicked off already. If you're with me though, which one do you look forward to me reviewing the most? Is there any here that sticks out in a good way to you? Are you looking at me, reviewing some of these lagers and being like, yeah, that sounds actually pretty good. Some of these darker beers, the coffee beers, the barrel-aged beers. We got this smoothie beer over here, the caramel. You've seen what I think about it because I know a lot of you have your own thoughts. To me, I'm looking forward to all of them. This pumpkin Märzen, I guess we would call it, I'm really looking forward to. The dark lager as well. Obviously, the caramel to see if it's the same. This to see if it's as good as I remember it. Those are the ones I'm really, really looking forward to. The rest, yeah, I'm looking forward to them, just maybe not as much as the others. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to shut this one down. The 10 Days of Pumpkin starts, you should see the first video roll out on Sunday, October 22nd. That should be a day one. So yeah, and we're going to start with this one, and that's it. So I'm going to shut this one down. Huge thanks to Ryan again for this beer. Thanks to everybody stopping by for another vlog, and hopefully we continue this throughout the years. My goal is to get this to the 10th annual 10 Days of Pumpkin. If we can get to that point, maybe I'll shut it down after that and just do some regular pumpkin beer reviews over the course of October after that. But if I'm still reviewing beer, you know, basically 5 years from now, or 4 years from now, I will definitely 100%, I wasn't gonna say 100% shut it down. I will 100% be doing the 10 Days of Pumpkin for a 10th annual at the very least. So yeah, anyway, appreciate it. To the next one. Cheers.